going to TLA. Right now, we're going to a party. This event was co-sponsored by 30 Lone Stars, Young Adult Roundtable, and Austin SCWI is like authors there and librarians, and we all got to hug each other and hang out. I should explain what TLA is. It stands for Texas Library Association, and they held this conference every year. You have the sections and you have the exhibit hall. Pay $40 to have access to the exhibit hall. You can walk around, talk to editors and the marketing people, and you can also grab ARCs. ARCs are unfinished copies of books that are going to be published later. Anyway, let the fun start. Just stop there for a second. Do you see this black tent? This is where you go to check your bags. You see those girls over there. So you put your box in a bag and you check your bag so you can grab more books and keep doing that back and forth. I don't do that. I just carry my books with me and then I put them in the car. Just stop you here to give you an idea of how TLA works. Let's just keep going. Went to booths and asked the people there what they're most excited about. They actually recommend me a lot of nonfiction novels and memoirs about war and the Holocaust.
Somewhere There Is Still a Sun, which is a memoir of the Holocaust. This really deals with that in a way that younger readers can identify with. The people that have survived the Holocaust, they were little kids when that happened, so the audience that's reading them is the same age as he was when this happened, and so I think it's really important that they understand what it was like to be a kid at that time.
Tobin Anderson, author of Feed and Octavian Nothing, has his first in a long time nonfiction book, Symphony for the City of the Dead, which is about the siege of Leningrad. So the lead up to World War II, what I learned about World War II and the numbers of casualties and just how things played out between Stalin and Hitler. I didn't realize Shostakovich was the cover of Time magazine and just the role that his music played in keeping the Russian people going.
They also talked about nonfiction novels and memoirs and stories based on real life that are also diverse.
Stonewall, it's a nonfiction book about the gay rights movement, and it explores the Stonewall riots, and I think it's just a really great addition to a collection of LGBTQ fiction out there. It's one of the first nonfiction books written for teens about the gay rights movement.
This is X, a novel about Malcolm X's childhood through teen. It's by Ilyasah Shabazz, who is his daughter, and Kekla Magoon, award-winning novelist and picture book writer too. It's pacey. You can see lots of star reviews.
There are lots of contemporary novels. I talked to Gilbert and Aubrey Paul at the Austin SCWI conference about this. If you want to check that out, I'll put the link here. Why contemporary is gaining more space, and I could really see that.
Conviction is realistic fiction. It is about a boy who's grown up in a very religious family. His father is actually a radio show host of a religious radio program. His father gets arrested for murder, and he's the only one who actually knows what happened, and he's going to have to testify at his father's trial, and he has to figure out what the right thing to do is. It's just one of these really amazingly written coming of age, finding yourself stories, and you don't know what's actually happened until you get to the end.
I am most excited about First and Then. It's a debut YA contemporary standalone novel from Emma Mills, who is hilarious. The book is funny and sweet. It's sort of Friday Night Lights meets Pride and Prejudice, and I could not recommend it enough.
Probably most people have heard of We All Looked Up by now. As you can see, it's getting rave reviews. We are positioning it as the Breakfast Club at the end of the world. The idea is that there's an asteroid heading for Earth, and they don't know. There's a very small percentage chance that it won't hit, but most likely it will, and everyone will be wiped out. The main characters are high school students whose stereotypes kind of break down as the end of the world approaches. They realize that the things they thought mattered don't really matter at all. Film rights have already been bought.
Apple and Rain is about a girl who her dream is for her mother to come back. She had left her with her grandmother when she was little. She thinks her life would be perfect if mom returns. It takes place in in London. Her mother does come back, but it's not the fairy tale she thought it would be. She finds out she has a little sister. She finds that she also has to take care of her mother more than her mother is able to take care of her. And her little sister is profoundly affected by this. And it's just how they grow together as a family.
Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. It's about a girl named Sam who has what they call pure O, which is the obsessive part of OCD. She's one of the cool girls in high school, but she doesn't really feel like that's who she is. And she meets this like really dreamy guy and a poetry club. And through the poetry and the new friends that she starts making, she starts to be able to really come to terms with her illness, with who she wants to be. And it's just, it's one of those like, oh my God, amazing book.
They also showed me a lot of YA contemporary novels with diverse characters.
Because You'll Never Meet Me by Leah Thomas. A story about two boys who form a friendship over writing letters to each other. One of the boys is allergic to electricity, and the other boy has a pacemaker, so hence the title, Because You'll Never Meet Me. They're both isolated in many different ways, both physically, emotionally, and they find that they relate to each other, even though their physical ailments are very different. One lives in Germany and one's in the States. Very literary, it's beautifully written.
It's a book called Everything, Everything. It's a debut by Nicola Yoon. It's about a girl who's allergic to the outside world. It comes out in September. I can't say too much about it, but all I can say is if you read it, you will love it.
And I was also super happy to see that there were a lot of YA science fiction and fantasy and paranormal novels with diverse characters.
We also have Shadow Shaper, which is a beautiful book by Danielle Jose Older. Kind of takes fantasy and magic and brings it to the urban setting of New York. It's a very diverse book. It's already gotten so many stars, and it's beautiful. Its language is so interesting and intricate. We have Game of Love and Death by Martha Brokenbrow, which has also received so many stars, and it's kind of a fantasy, but it's a bit of a historical novel as well. It's a biracial couple set before that was an okay thing to do, and they're players being played by love and death, who are gods who have a very real piece of this book as well, and the perspectives go between the gods and the actual people, and it's beautiful and it's heartbreaking.
After walking around a lot and talking to people, we took a break for lunch.
We're going to leave our books in the car now, because there are lots of books. We're going back to the convention center, and I'm going to show you guys more stuff.
I also know there are a couple of books about men versus nature.
We also have Adrift by Paul Griffin. It's about high adventure on the seas. What if you get stranded on the seas with your friends? And can you trust each other? Can you trust yourself? I was trying to get out and making your way to survive.
There were also some books with different formats.
There was something about the pitch that really intrigued me, and they said, this is like Battlestar Galactica meets 10 Things I Hate About You. And the minute I started it, I thought, I have never read anything like this before. One of the amazing things about the book, it features not just text, but all sorts of visuals. Is a report, a file that is classified. So everything that you're reading in the book is really a document. There are different schematic, there are IMs between characters. So everything you're reading changes from multiple perspectives. There are two authors behind it, and they just do a genius job. You really get this true sense of the characters having their own lives.
I just want to point out that Illuminae is not the only book that I saw there with that kind of format. There's also this other book here called The Dead House. The structure is very similar to Illuminae. So if you are interested in Illuminae, maybe you also want to check out this book. Mentioning again the Austin SCBWI conference, when I talked to Aubrey Pohl, she mentioned also that they were more interested in thrillers. And I saw a little bit of that at TLA.
This is Need, which is the new book by the author of the Testing trilogy, Joelle Charbonneau. There's this website called Need, and the characters receive invitations to join this website. And you can tell this website anything you need. So one kid asks for a day off school, one kid asks for tennis shoes, one kid asks for a laptop. And the deal is they can get whatever they want, but first they have to do something in return. That starts out really innocent at first, but then things just get darker, and there starts to be a body count, really investigating like, what do we really need? What do we want? How far will we go to get it?
I was super happy to see some really interesting, unique YA science fiction and fantasy and paranormal novels.
The Stars Never Rise by Rachel Vincent is another book that I worked on. This is a series launch. It's a world not in the too distant future, a world where demons have taken over. Our heroine, Nina, is on the run. If you like paranormal, thriller, strong, feisty female heroines. This book is a great read.
The Sick. It's based on a scientist who develops a rogue AI program that has gone and taken over a missile base in Russia and is threatening the U.S. His son is suffering a debilitating disease and becomes part of a recruited six that are going to have their brains mapped and scanned and transferred into the body of these robots so that they can actually fight against this rogue AI program. But they're not just in the robots. They could transfer themselves to a motorized tank or a helicopter, any device that is equipped for it. They're all terminally ill kids that have never really had the chance to be physically active, and now they actually get to be the heroes in real life. The author is Mark Albert. He's a contributor for Scientific American, and it's all based on actual science that's going on right now. This is kind of a Top Gun, but a YA version featuring female fighter pilots. When Sony just bought the movie rights, it's got a very cinematic feel when you're reading it.
And last but not least, let's talk a little bit about some middle grade novels.
Really excited about The Nest. There are some really beautiful illustrations throughout. This is in black and white, and it's just an arc. The finished copy will be amazing. It has a supernatural element to it. There is a lot involving bees. It's just really cool and really different. It's a really new direction for kind of cool.
The Disappearance of Emily H. Okay. It's a middle grade mystery. It's about a girl who moves to a new town, and the house that she moves into, the girl who lived there before has disappeared. And Rain, the heroine of this book, sets out to sort of solve that mystery. And she has a supernatural ability that comes into play and helps her along the way.
So I'm here in line for Lauren Oliver. Still half an hour till the signing starts. I have always wanted to meet Lauren Oliver, so I'm really happy.
She was signing Vanishing Girls, her new YA novel, which is just the storybook. I think it's best if I don't say anything about it. Just know it's Lauren Oliver, that her writing is fantastic. And so I love her and I'm going to read it. And I don't want to know what it's about, so I'm not going to tell you. She was also signing this middle grade. It's an arc. I read the beginning of it. This is exactly the kind of middle grade I love. It has that magical tone to it. This is about two orphans and they are raised in a museum, but not just a regular museum. It's called Dumfries Dye Museum, Freaks, Oddities, and Wonders. Sounds adorable.
So you're here for the Binus YA meetup?
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button here below. Please subscribe and let me know which books you're excited about, what you think of the books that I showed in this video, and I will see you guys next time.
Yay! Just a couple books.